Long before the modern world understood the true nature of germs, the first great civilizations were already engineering their escape from filth. In the sprawling, meticulously planned cities of the Indus Valley, like Mohenjo-Daro and Harappa, a quiet revolution in public health was baked into the very bricks. A complex network of drains, covered and graded for flow, snaked beneath the streets, channeling wastewater away from homes and into cesspits. Each house was connected, a testament to a society that understood on an instinctual level that communal well-being was tied to the management of what it discarded. This was not mere convenience. It was the bedrock of urban life, a silent covenant between the people and the city they built. A similar understanding flourished along the fertile banks of the Nile. In ancient Egypt, where the sun beat down upon the land, sanitation took a more private yet equally deliberate form. Wealthier households featured limestone-lined latrines, simple seats with a receptacle below filled with sand, which a servant would dutifully empty. The focus was on containment and removal, a stark contrast to the open defecation that would blight later ages. This was hygiene born of a hot climate and a complex social hierarchy, where even the most basic human functions were given a measure of order and dignity. But it was the Romans who elevated sanitation to a public spectacle and an engineering marvel. Their vast empire was crisscrossed by aqueducts, arteries of fresh water that fed not only baths and fountains, but also the public latrines. These were not hidden-away necessities but social hubs, often beautifully decorated with marble seats arranged in a welcoming semicircle. Citizens would sit side by side, conducting business and sharing gossip as water from the aqueducts constantly flowed in a channel at their feet. For personal cleansing, they used a tersorium, a sponge on a stick, stored in a pot of salt water or vinegar. The communal nature of this tool would horrify the modern sensibility, yet it symbolized a pragmatic if unhygienic solution for its time. The Roman latrine was a powerful statement. Civilization meant coming together, and that togetherness extended even to this most fundamental act, all made possible by the relentless flow of water and the unshakable will to engineer a cleaner world. The fall of Rome did not just crumble empires, it shattered the very systems that held urban life together, plunging Europe into a millennium of filth. The intricate aqueducts fell silent, their stone channels cracking as vines snaked through them, and the communal latrines, once bustling with civic life, were abandoned to the rats and the damp. The great engineering that had channeled water and waste with Roman efficiency was forgotten, replaced by a grim and perilous intimacy with excrement. In castles and manor houses, the guardrobe became the standard, a small, cold chamber jutting from a stone wall, its seat opening to a long, terrifying drop into a stinking moat or a cesspit below. For the common folk in cramped, timber-framed cities, the chamber pot was the only refuge, its contents often flung from an upper window into the street with a warning shout that was not always heeded. The streets themselves became open sewers, a viscous, foul-smelling slurry of human and animal waste that baked in the sun or festered in the rain, seeping into the groundwater and attracting swarms of flies. This was not merely squalor. It was a breeding ground for catastrophe. From these miasmatic conditions, the Black Death would eventually erupt, a pestilential tide that swept through the vulnerable populations, its spread fueled by the very waste that surrounded them. The darkness of the age was not just one of ignorance, but a tangible, olfactory reality, a world where humanity was drowning in its own refuse. While Europe wallowed in its own filth, a different philosophy was taking root on the other side of the world. In the meticulously ordered society of Edo period Japan and the ancient agricultural empires of China, human waste was not seen as a problem to be discarded, but as a valuable resource to be managed. In the bustling, crowded streets of Edo, a city of over 1 million people, there were no public sewers to speak of, yet the alleys were remarkably clean. Each morning before the sun had fully risen, a quiet, efficient economy would spring to life. Farmers from the surrounding countryside would arrive with their carts, not to sell produce, but to purchase the contents of the neighborhood privies. This night soil was a coveted commodity, carefully collected and transported back to the fields where it would nourish the rice paddies and vegetable plots that fed the city. The system was so refined that the waste of the wealthy, who ate a more nutritious diet, commanded a higher price. In China, a similar deeply ingrained practice saw the careful collection and composting of waste, closed-loop system that had sustained its agriculture for centuries. This was a profound cultural divergence. Where the West saw only disease and disgust, the East saw the cycle of life, a sustainable alchemy that transformed waste into wealth and ensured the health of both the land and the people. The value placed on sanitation was not born from a fear of plague, but from a fundamental understanding of balance and resource, a wisdom that kept their cities functioning and their fields fertile while Europe choked. The reek of the Dark Ages lingered for centuries, a stubborn fog of pestilence and neglect, until a flash of Elizabethan ingenuity finally offered a way to wash it all away. In 1596, Sir John Harington, a godson of Queen Elizabeth I, presented a revolutionary device he called the Ajax. It was a magnificent, if eccentric, contraption. A raised bowl with a seat, fed by an overhead cistern that, with a pull of a lever, released a torrent of water to sweep its contents down a pipe and out of sight. Harington's invention was the first recognizable flush toilet, a poetic leap from the chamber pot and the garderobe. He even installed one for his godmother at Richmond Palace. Yet the world was not ready. The Ajax was seen as a luxurious novelty, a complex and water-wasteful folly for the aristocracy, and without a city-wide network of pipes to support it, the brilliant idea stagnated, a seed planted in barren soil. It would take nearly 200 years and the mind of a locksmith for that seed to sprout. In 1775, Joseph Bramah patented a toilet that improved upon Harington's design with a pivotal innovation: a hinged valve that created a more reliable and watertight seal at the bottom of the bowl. Bramah's toilet was sturdier, less prone to freezing, and it began to find a market. His workshop would eventually produce thousands, signaling a slow but steady shift in public appetite. Then came Thomas Crapper, a Victorian plumber whose name would become indelibly linked with the fixture. Crapper did not invent the flush toilet, but he was a master marketer and a prolific manufacturer. He popularized the now familiar U-bend trap, a simple loop of pipe that retained a small amount of water to create a seal against sewer gases, preventing the foul odors of the city from seeping back into the home. His showrooms in London displayed gleaming porcelain thrones, turning the toilet from a hidden utility into a desirable symbol of modern, hygienic living. The true catalyst for a global sanitation revolution, however, was not a single inventor but a city-wide crisis. By the summer of 1858, the River Thames running through London had become an open, festering sewer. A combination of a heat wave and the waste of over 2 million people, now flushed into the river by thousands of newfangled water closets without a proper outlet, created the Great Stink. The stench was so overpowering that it paralyzed Parliament, with curtains soaked in chloride of lime failing to keep the miasma at bay. This public health emergency forced the government to act, commissioning the civil engineer Joseph Bazalgette to create a monumental new sewer system. His vision was one of heroic Gothic proportions: over 1,300 miles of underground brick tunnels designed to intercept the city's waste and channel it far downstream. This vast subterranean architecture did more than just end the Great Stink. It helped eradicate the cholera epidemics that had periodically ravaged the city, proving definitively that sanitation was the bedrock of public health. The flush toilet, now supported by the necessary infrastructure, began its global conquest, evolving with each passing decade. The 20th century introduced the sleek, easy-to-clean porcelain pedestal, the plastic flush handle, and the ubiquitous roll of toilet paper. In many parts of Europe, Asia, and the Middle East, the bidet became a common companion, offering a stream of water for cleansing and representing a different cultural approach to personal hygiene. Yet for all this progress, a stark divide remained. In the developed world, toilets became smarter, with heated seats, air dryers, and self-cleaning functions. Meanwhile, according to the World Health Organization, billions in the developing world still lacked access to any form of improved sanitation, a crisis contributing to the deaths of hundreds of thousands of children each year from preventable diarrheal diseases. The journey of the toilet had illuminated a painful paradox. Humanity had the technology to